marking our best result in over 20 years. These teens have shown that brilliance, dedication, and a love of numbers can take you far, and they're rewriting what it means to be a young South African in STEM. The future looks seriously bright. And finally, we're not just friendly, we're flipping funny too. According to a brand new global study, South Africa has officially been ranked the 19th funniest country in the world. And we're owning it. The study looked at humor styles around the world and found that South Africans are kings and queens of emotionally intelligent humor, the kind that connects, uplifts, and diffuses even the dodgiest moments. Whether it's laughing at potholes, power cuts, or public blunders, our sense of humor is our superhero. So yes, 19th place might not sound like a gold medal, but if you've ever been to a South African braai, seen the memes after load shedding, or watched us turn chaos into comedy gold, you'll know we're actually hilarious. And that's it for your Friday Good News Fix. From global awards to global laughs, South Africans are proving once again we've got brains, brilliance, and the kind of banter that makes life just a little bit lighter. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep looking for the good things, because they're all around us. Catch us next week. Like I say every week, wishing you only good things.
We really are hilarious, aren't we, Brent Lindeque? Thank you so much for that. And thank you to all of you for listening. For our Joburg listeners, I'll see you at the 7:02 Walk the Talk. And our Pretoria listeners, obviously, in Pretoria on Sunday. It's 1 o'clock, time for Eyewitness News.
This is EWN.
The MK party wants a secret ballot in the president's no-confidence vote, and City Power continues its cut-off operation in Tshepisong. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. The MK party has called for a secret ballot when the party's motion of no confidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa is voted on. The party says this is to protect members of the National Assembly from intimidation from their political parties when the motion is finally considered. The party's parliamentary leader John Hlophe wrote to National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza yesterday to make the formal request. Babalondenze reports.
The MK party's motion of no confidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa was filed on Tuesday and cites several governance failures in his administration, like the high crime rate, economy, and national security. In his letter to the Speaker, the party's John Hlophe listed 3 justifications for the secret ballot when the motion is debated and voted on. He says a secret ballot will ensure that members of parliament can exercise their constitutional duty freely and without fear of intimidation or reprisal. Hlophe says this is particularly important given the sensitive nature of the motion and the potential political consequences for individual members. He says another reason is the Constitutional Court ruling in the UDM versus the Speaker of the National Assembly matter in 2017, where the court affirmed that the Speaker has the discretion to allow a secret ballot. Hlophe says the integrity of the voting process is another important factor, and a secret ballot will safeguard the integrity of the process to reflect the true will of members. Babalondense, Eyewitness News.
City Power says only 3% of residents in Tshepisong in the West Rand are paying for electricity. The utility has returned to the area today to continue its cut-off operation. Yesterday, residents clashed with police when the entity tried to get rid of the illegal electricity connections. Residents blocked roads with rocks and burning tires, preventing City Power from continuing with its work. Today, technicians are being accompanied by police during the operation. Spokesperson Isaac Mangina says the utility is bleeding money maintaining infrastructure in Tshepisong.
We have replaced about 20 transformers in Tshepisong that either blew up or they were vandalized, and each were seeing about 400,000 rands. And that is the money that we have spent with the hope that the community will then be able to start buying electricity.
We shift our focus to this now. The City of Cape Town will be introducing neighbourhood policing to every ward in the metro in the coming months, with 700 new police officers set to be deployed. Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis says the officers will form relationships with residents by building trust to help solve some of the challenges communities are facing. Hill-Lewis and City Mayco member for Safety and Security JP Smith paid a visit to the city's Observatory College this week, where the officers are are in their final stages of training.
These community officers will get to know their wards and their communities. They'll get to know their residents and the challenges and problem buildings and so on in the area. And this is the kind of personal policing at a street level that is going to make a difference to safety in our city for the better.
The mayor says at least 5 officers will be deployed to each ward in Cape Town.
This is part of the budget that the city has passed this financial year and is a huge investment in additional safety for everyone in Cape Town.
And there have been mixed reactions from global leaders following an announcement by France that it will be formally recognizing a Palestinian state at the UN General Assembly in September. French President Emmanuel Macron made the announcement yesterday. The move takes the number of countries that now recognize or plan to recognize Palestinian statehood to at least 142. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has responded angrily to Macron's announcement, calling it a reckless decision. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the move rewards terror and risks creating another Iranian proxy just as Gaza behave. And Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, whose country already recognizes Palestinian statehood, welcomed Macron's announcement. Gold is trading at $3,348.33 an ounce. The rand is at 17.73 to the dollar, 23.86 to the pound, 20.81 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $69.42 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards the El Dorado Park, Devland area, there's slow-moving traffic. That's on the N1 southbound between the Golden Highway and the N12. Also traveling towards Bedford View, leaving Germiston. Bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's the N3 northbound between the Ilands interchange and the Geldenays interchange. And also, if you're traveling from Edenville heading into Bedford View, there's slow-moving traffic on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with isolated showers and thundershowers. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 21 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN, the MK party has called for a secret ballot when the party's motion of no confidence in President Cyril Ramaphosa is voted on.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Entries to the 702 Walk the Talk are open. Go to primemediaplus.com to get your tickets today.
702
Live
on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
It's 8 minutes past 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and it's always good on a Friday. Kabazela standing in for Relebogile this afternoon. How's your Friday going? What happens with you on a Friday? Do you finish work early? Do you maybe go meet some friends for a drink? Or, go spend some time with the kids if you leave the office early? I'd love to know what you do on a Friday afternoon. I always finish late, around about 6 p.m, so I miss out on those things, but hey, each to their own, right? And it's Walk the Talk weekend. Very, very, very excited to be doing the Walk the Talk on Sunday. I won't be walking. I'll be at the start line doing the 10 to 1 o'clock show. So looking forward to catching up with some of you who will be walking, chatting to you about why you're walking, what are some of the causes that you're walking for, and obviously just having a good old chat about your Sunday morning at the 702 Walk the Talk. So got some details for you with regards to that, especially if you haven't collected your race pack. So that will be for people if you selected the Union Buildings in Pretoria as your collection venue, and you need to get those walk numbers, you will be able to get those or collect those from tomorrow between 9 and 5 p.m. That's very, very important. So you need those race numbers. So that's at the Union Buildings tomorrow between 9 and 5 p.m. And then if you selected the DP World Wanderers Stadium, You can collect that today between 9 and 5 p.m. So do make sure that you get those numbers because without those numbers, you won't be able to walk. And we want to see you at the Walk the Talk.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So I wanted to ask you about wine. How much do you love wine? I mean, you get people that love wine and they know all the details about wine, the tannins, the smells, the notes, and they know particularly which meals to drink what wine with. I mean, I like wine. I really, really enjoy wine. But if you had to say to me, pair it with this or pair it with that, absolutely no clue. No clue whatsoever. So this afternoon on our food feature, we're going to be chatting to two very, very interesting guests. We're going to talk to a Cape wine master, and her name is Janelle van der Merwe, and she will be joined by chef and owner of a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous restaurant. If you haven't been to this restaurant yet, you've got to go and treat yourself. You have to book. You can't just sort of drive past this restaurant and think, let's pop in here and see what it's like. It's that popular that you have to book it. It's called the Silver Orange Bistro. It's a really, really fantastic restaurant. Been lucky enough to go there a few times and experience some of the offerings they have there. And it's got such a beautiful setting. It's on a citrus farm. And basically you can sit outside this little farmhouse. And it's a really, really special place. So we'll be talking to the owner about that as well. So do let us know when it comes to wine. Are you educated with wine? How did you get educated with wine? Did you go up and read? Do you know the different types of grapes that wines are made from? Or when you go for a wine tasting, are you there just for the wine and you're like, I don't really care if it smells like coffee or chocolate or whatever it may be. You're just there to enjoy it. But it's always nice, I suppose, if you have that education behind it without the pretentiousness, I suppose. But joining me in studio is the Cape wine master, Janelle van der Merwe, and the chef and owner of the Silver Orange Bistro, Leon Nel, who I must say they prepared an absolute beautiful sample of a wine pairing and just like what goes with a wine pairing and particular foods and how sipping a wine before you taste the food completely changes the wine. It was really, really, really interesting and fascinating to experience. So if you want to experience it, I would get in touch with the Silver Orange. From time to time, they do these pairings with Janelle van der Merwe, who's a Cape wine master. And it's really something nice to do. It's not pretentious. It's just a lot of fun. Janelle's a really, really interesting person. And you know, she's a good storyteller, which is what you want at the end of the day when it comes to wine, right? So, good afternoon, Janelle van der Merwe, and good afternoon to you, Leon Nel.
Good afternoon, Jonathan, and to the listeners, good afternoon.
Yeah, thanks very much for joining us. So, before we get into the pairings, a Cape wine master, without the wine, obvious that you're a master of wine, what does it involve to become a Cape wine master?
When people ask me that, I always say, well, how many liters have you had? Because Cape wine masters have had many, and we had to judge them, work through them, study through them. But yes, look, it is a very extensive course that we follow, and it takes you about 10 years before you can complete your studies, and of course, successfully if you pass all your exams and your presentations and so on, to become actually a Cape wine master. Please remember there's a huge difference between being a Cape wine master or master of wine. Master of wines are from the UK, and we are Cape wine masters. So for us, it's expected that you know your country. Yes. Imagine if I travel, and it happened to me before, that you just happen to pop up at a show, say for instance Singapore, and somebody says, listen, I believe that you're from South Africa. I have some wines tonight in my restaurant. Can you come through and do? You don't know what. You arrive there and you say, okay, I have this producer and that producer immediately on the floor, and you have to know. So you have to know your terroir. You have to know your country. You have to know more or less what our producers are doing out there and what they are capable of, which is actually so fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just so warm and wonderful.
Yes, yes. And you are associated with the Elvies Drift wine farm.
Yes, I am.
Right?
Yes.
And you are a big fan of the Elvies Drift because that is your family, right? You married into the family.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm married to Alfie.
Right, to Alfie,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
I mean, with wine names or bottled names, I always love how people come up with the bottle name or the specific, if it's from a specific vineyard or it's a specific type of grape, and how they come up with that name. So Elvies Drift, how did you guys come up with that Elvies Drift?
Well, just a short story, because the farm was already acquired by the current Alfie. It's now the third generation. Through his grandfather in 1928. In those days, in the 1920s, the farmers actually just produced, they grew grapes, they produced wine in bulk, and they delivered it to the merchants. So that was the beginning of this farm. Never mind that in the old days that they multi-farmed, whether they grew vegetables or whatever. But it was only after Alfie retired after practicing for 20 years as a medical doctor that he decided he wants to go back to the farm. And his father was like, what do you want to come and do here? He says, well, make wine. No, we're already making wine, type of thing. But in those days, his grandfather called the farm Alfalfa, which means Lucerne in Arabic. So that was the Alfalfa beginning. But Alfie, one day, now you must understand that we farm both sides of the Breda River. And to take a shortcut, you need to really get through the river. Otherwise, we drive a long way around.
Okay.
And his grandfather built this little low-lying bridge. And once Alfie wanted one day to drive back to the farm, or to his practice in town, and there was a lot of machinery in the road, and he said, what are you guys doing here? No, doctor, we're busy working on the Alfies Drift Road. And he said, what did you say? He never even knew that the locals called this bridge or road after his grandfather, and he thought, how amazing. And he then registered the name Alfies Drift in 2004, and that was the beginning of our brand.
Okay.
So the families made wine, but he was the beginner of making wine in a bottle.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So next time you're sipping on a beautiful red or white of Elvies Drift, now you know the story behind the name. Let's turn to the Silver Orange, Lionel, chef and owner of the Orange Bistro. Also family business, right?
Yes. Also quite an interesting story if I have to explain where the name comes from. Not as elaborate. I was sitting in the bank in 2004. The bank was about to close, and the bank manager said, we need a name for bank account. And I sat there and I thought, we're on a citrus farm. And I said, Silver Orange. I just call it Silver Orange. So there's not much thought went into that. The restaurant's situated on a citrus farm that my grandfather bought in 1977. We moved out from Joburg. Then my dad followed suit a few years later. The restaurant currently is in my grandmother's old house, where that was the thatch house on the farm. And then our other restaurant, Almost Orange, is just situated 100 meters from that in the old tractor sheds that we converted. And it's 22 years later. So
wow,
nice story about it. And it's nice to have basically two, like Alfies Drift, and although not as long of a history, but it's nice to have two. Basically, the restaurant's on a farm, the Alfies Drift, the farm, like farmers, and it's nice because there's a lot of history, a lot of work in it. Also citrus, Alfie and them also have a lot of citrus on their farm.
Yes.
Yeah, hell of a lot. But it's nice. Been there for 22 years now with the restaurant, so it's and we're nice and busy. Blessed to be busy after so long.
Right, it's 17 minutes past 1, listening to Kabazela, standing in for Relebogile Mabotja. When we come back, we're going to talk about the wine tasting menu that you prepared, and then also just to get our head around how to pair correctly with different types of food.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
The iconic 702 Walk the Talk is back, and it's bigger than ever. In celebration of Mandela Month, 702 Walk the Talks takes to the streets of Tshwane as participants walk past some of South Africa's most iconic landmarks. Join us for the walk this Sunday and choose between 6.7 kilometers or 8 kilometers from the Freedom Park Heritage Site to the Union Buildings. Grab your tickets at primemediaplus.com. This message is proudly brought to you by the National Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Busy mornings? Non-stop days? Future Life Smart Food and Smart Food Zero is made to fuel real life. It's high in protein, rich in dietary fiber and low GI, giving you sustained energy to keep going. Packed with 19 vitamins and minerals, it's the smart choice for active people and growing families alike. Enjoy it as a meal or shake. Just mix with water or milk. With 5 delicious flavors, including our new peanut butter, Smart Food is as convenient as it is nutritious. Future Life, smart nutrition for life.
Mzansi, be in it to win it. The Powerball jackpot guaranteed at 92 million rand is up for grabs this Friday. This is your chance at a life-changing 92 million rand jackpot. Don't delay. Play Powerball today and you could win big. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Weekday evenings at 6.
The All-Share Index hitting 100,000 points for the first time. And Dr. Leila Fourie is the CEO at the JSE. Leila, plenty of talk around at the moment that you might be joining some other bourses and moving to 24-hour trading.
What is important is a balance between the real-time trading response opportunities. So if we wake up and there's a major crisis brewing and markets are closed, it is good to be able to respond real-time.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
This Sunday, the streets of Pitori come alive as 702 Walk the Talk returns, and Gauteng Tourism is proud to be your destination partner. There's no better way to close off Nelson Mandela Month than by honouring his legacy. Your way, your pace, with over 10 iconic attractions lining the route. From the breathtaking Freedom Park heritage site to the lush south lawns of the Union buildings. For more information, visit gauteng.net or follow at Visit Gauteng on socials. Brought to you by the Gauteng Tourism Authority.
702.
Food Feature.
21 minutes past 1, Kabazela on 702 afternoons. We are joined by Junelle van der Merwe, Cape Wine Master, and Lionel, the chef and owner of the Silver Orange Bistro. And we're going to be talking about food pairings, and we'll talk about the stuff that you guys prepared, which was very, very, very delicious. And it's obviously some of the stuff from your menu. And so let's start off now with the beetroot cured salmon. And you paired that with the Albertus Viljoen Chardonnay 2022. So when you're preparing a food tasting or wine pairing menu, are you thinking first food, or are you thinking first wine and then food?
Always first wine.
Always wine. Okay. Leon, would you agree with that?
Well, out of experience, yes. A lot of people will probably think food first, see what the food is, and then try and, work on a menu and then pair the wine. I normally try and see what the wine is first and then pair the food to the wine instead of vice versa. I think it makes it quite difficult in a normal restaurant setup where people order their wine first and then or order food and wine, and it doesn't always match because there's, you've got 2 or 3 people or 4 or 5 people at a table ordering different meals, and then they just order a bottle of wine. But when it comes to physical food and wine pairings, you taste the wine. Well, you taste your wine first, and then you build your profile of the food that you're going to serve around your wine profile, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So, question for you: if you're listening in your car or from home or the office, when you go to a restaurant and you're ordering, because you're going to start with the drinks first before the food comes. So, are you always thinking ahead? Are you thinking, okay, I'm going to order a red or I'm going to order a white because I know this is my favorite restaurant, and if you're not going to have a starter and you're going to go straight to the mains, are you thinking because it's going to pair well with maybe the steak or the seafood? I'd love to know how your thought patterns are when it comes to ordering with your drink and your wine and your foods. Let us know. 072 702 1702. So the beetroot cured salmon, which was very, very delicious, and the Albertus Viljoen Chardonnay. Why did these two go together so well? And how did you even know that this would complement each other?
Well, obviously, I had to call on a chef and a partner that knows our wines very well. If it's not, then I need to send them wine tell them to open the bottle of wine, and then we decompose his food and say, can I bring whatever you're going to prepare together? Fortunately, these wines are available and served at Silver Orange Bistro. So Leon had a very good inkling of what the wine tastes like. So I said, I'm doing our icon wines. I'm doing the Albertus Viljoen Chardonnay. Now, Chardonnay, the way we do it for the icon wines, remember, these are hand-picked vineyards and grapes of our top vineyards for Chardonnay. Philosophy of Alfie to pick extremely ripe, so therefore very ripe, voluptuous type of grapes coming to the winery, and then carefully crushed and prepared with wild heath in the barrels. And it takes time. And I think everything that's worthwhile takes time. Leon, fortunately, has been to the winery and knows our philosophy and our wine. So it was easy when I was contacted in the Cape, said, okay, I will partner with this chef because he knows it so well. Otherwise, I would not know what's going to come up. But anyway, so the Chardonnay grows, is produced. Batonnage means we stir the dead lees, so a lot of flavors brought back, a lot of creaminess as you taste it. It's very nice, full, round, voluptuous wine. And that wine then matures for another year in barrels, French oak barrels, and then of course, before we bottle, we choose the best barrels for the icon range.
Okay, all right. Then we moved on to the conjaleni pasta. That was absolutely delicious. So it was a big pasta shell with some mushroom in it, and it had a beautiful lemon. Was it a lemon sauce at the bottom?
It was a lemon velouté sauce that paired with the Shannon.
Yes.
Also a bit of citrus flavors, just picking up once again that almost lemon marmalade type of flavors that you get in a wooded Shannon, and it pairs extremely well. I think it's very important when you pair food and wine together. For some people, even on palate wise, everybody's palate is different. So that it might not be 110% every single time for every single person. The food should complement the wine and vice versa. And it's also sometimes nice to have a food and wine pairing, not deliberately, but that you can basically make your own perception of, that goes well with, for example, that clash completely with Shannon. It's basically a trial and error thing, I think, as well when it comes to wine.
Yeah.
Nothing is sort of cookie cutter and down to the book. Also depends on the style of the wine, the terroir, where it's from, different regions. You might have a Shannon from France that's completely different in style and texture that's Shannon from Scarpanil area. So it all depends, and it's not a textbook thing. It basically boils down to if it works in your palate or on your palate or not. So there's a few guidelines that you can work with. So, like for example, some whites don't clash with, like for example, asparagus. It gets a metallic taste. That does really not work that well. But that's basically also nice to find it out with a trial and error. I think sometimes it's also good to, if there ever is a food and wine pairing, to just throw a wild card in something that actually doesn't work, so people can realize, but the importance of food, the influence that it has on the wine itself.
Julia has just sent a message. Silver Orange Bistro is a beautiful and magical place with excellent food. So that's a good badge of honor there for you,
Thank you,
Leon. Then we touched on the tempura prawn tail with lychee and cucumber, and that was also served with a Chenin Blanc. But that was a different year, right?
That was a different, because with the pasta shell we did the 2022,
yes,
which is currently available in the market. But then, of course, I brought, as I told you, in my suitcase, I brought the 2023 with that's still slightly resting at the farm before we release it. But this was a magnificent 2023, and it tastes completely different to the other Chenons normally from the Icon range, in the sense that was the wine from the Forgotten Vineyard, where Alfie intended in all grace to uproot these old vines and think, well, they're not producing so much, so let's uproot it. And then that means that if they mothball a vineyard, that they don't irrigate it, they don't prune it, they don't care for it. And then during the harvest time, he got too busy to take it out. He drove past there and saw, but there are fruit there. And he tasted the fruit and was just absolutely gobsmacked that these tiny berries are just giving this whop of a fruit, and he vinified it separately. And that was the 2023 that you tasted. It's almost herbaceous. It's almost Karoo, because you must remember,
Yeah.
Aotearoa is Karoo. It always adopted Ghana Kloof, where the vineyard is situated, and just brought it back to life. But I must say this is a one-off, because that specific vineyard we will now produce for the Old Vine Project in future.
And amazing to taste the difference in both Shannons,
Yes.
and how the difference, the soil, the
Yes.
climate and conditions can have an influence, right?
Absolutely.
Then the last one that we had was the duck and fig samousas, as well as the oxtail and cranberry samousas. Now, these are all from your menu, which was that oxtail. Wow. Absolutely fabulous. Really, really delicious. And we had that with the Bismarck 2020. Now, this was the red one, because it goes nicely with the meaty, the red meats, right? So, just talk us briefly, if you can, the pairing of these two and why.
Well, I'll start as we always do with the wine. Bismarck is actually a name that is Alfie's favorite Great Dane on the farm. We love dogs, So, and he's buried next to the winery, and he followed Alfie everywhere. So, in honor of our Bismarck Great Dane, this is where the name came from. But Bismarck gives Alfie absolute freedom to do what he wants to. So if you want to taste Scherpenheuvel and the red vines, they're all in one in this bottle. But it's led by Shiraz, 60%. And then, of course, with that goes Cabernet and Pinotage and Grenache and Durif, Petit Verdot, even 2% Viognier, which is a white variety, and then Alicante Boucher. So I always tease Alfie and say, is this now what we call a sort of a Chateauneuf de Pape, the Scherpenheuvel type of thing? 8 different varieties. Wow. And it's full blood, full bodied, beautiful red wine, fleshy and thick. That would pair very well. Leon, you don't think so with your...
Yes, so the reason why I paired it with that, with the two different, obviously the two items that we currently serve, that we have on the menu, well, incidentally, the duck and fig samosas, that's the most popular that I've had on the menu for 22 years. I haven't taken it off. Goes extremely well. If you've got that there's nice richness, like almost like in the wine you pick up like flavors of plum. I tried to pick up the cranberry. Cranberry's got a little bit of acidity. There's rehydrated figs in the duck samosas. There's a hint of cinnamon, so it picks up all those nice spice flavors. White pepper, almost not cassis, almost like a bit of a little bit of like a nice sort of a, I would almost say like a slight leatheriness on it, which is actually quite nice as well.
Yeah.
And then just a red cabbage acidity to break through all of the fattiness as well.
Absolutely delicious. And I mean, in terms of picking the wines with the food, from my lay person palate, it was really, really beautiful. And thank you for that, the effort. You guys made a really, really big effort. So that's the Silver Orange Bistro out in Hartbeespoort, as well as the Cape Wine Master, Janelle van der Merwe from Elvies Drift, joining us in studio today. So thank you very much. And we'll hopefully see you soon at your restaurant, and maybe we'll have a glass or two this weekend of Elvies.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Right now, it's 32 minutes past 1. Apologies, late for news, but EWN headlines with Mbali Tlamini.
Thanks, Jono. Good afternoon. The case against the alleged killers of 7-year-old Lolita Kowa from Guyasa in Khayelitsha has been postponed to next week Friday. Otto Jack and Noktula Maitjeseni appeared briefly before the Khayelitsha Magistrates Court today. They are charged with rape and murder of the little girl whose body was discovered near her home in Guyasa on Wednesday. The MK party has called for a secret ballot when the party's motion of no confidence in the president is voted on. The party says this is to protect members of the National Assembly from intimidation from their political parties when the motion is finally considered. And Amnesty International has called for the unconditional release of 2 Eswatini pro-democracy lawmakers. 4 years ago, Mduduzi Patrete Mabuza and Tandeni Dube were sentenced to 58 and 85 years jail terms respectively, following violent clashes between protesters and the police. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading towards El Dorado Park, there's slow-moving traffic in the Devland area on the N1 southbound. That's between the N12 and the Golden Highway. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Protea Glen area on the N12 westbound, approaching the R558. Look out for those faulty